You are listening to the Profoundly Posh podcast, Word on Our Street, with Jenny Berry and Carl Royal. I think we're on.
We are on, yeah.
You didn't see me press the button that time, did you?
I didn't. I wonder if the listeners laugh at this bit or they don't.
It's like a running gag that's not working. I know. We've just been on a road trip.
That was ace, weren't it?
It was, but we can't tell anybody.
We can't. No, it was funny that you in the car behind me with your mask on.
I know.
I mean, who drives in a mask?
Me? You're not supposed to do that.
No, it's just funny. You don't need a mask on for yourself, do you?
We were working though. You're allowed to go and see people if you're working.
You are. I'm just laughing at you in a mask. It was hilarious. But how cool was that venue?
I know. I wish you'd have put a mask on.
I think most people wish I'd have a mask on.
It was very cool, but I don't want to say too much about it because it's for next week.
It is, yeah.
And but I think people are going to be excited about next week.
I do.
And we've been invited onto someone else's show.
I know.
We can't even talk about that yet.
Only we could blag ourselves onto another show. A show on a show. We can't talk about it.
We can't talk. You keep talking about it, and I said we can't talk about it.
Okay. Our guest today's brilliant.
I know, but do you know what I wish some people would talk about? What? Is I wish they'd talk about us to the mates. And
like, subscribe and share.
It's like, so, do you know what people have done that this year? The Instagram has gone up.
Yeah.
The Facebook's gone up. Twitter's stayed about. Why is Twitter so hard?
Twitter is really hard, I think. It just so many people and this tweets like every millisecond.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's difficult for what we're doing.
Twitter's a bit of a shitter, but don't worry.
No, it's okay. But we still use it.
Yeah.
And your blog is going down a storm. People who don't know about the blog.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing, for people who don't know, on the Monday before every show that gets released on a Thursday or a Friday, Jenny's been doing a blog telling you all about the show that's coming up, and I think more people are reading the blog than listening to the show.
It's a teaser, isn't it? Well, blogs, I just do a very short one. Summary.
It's short and it's always very bright. It's an easy read, isn't it?
It's like a school report, that.
Is it?
Short and bright.
Is that your school report?
But it was usually my hair that was bright, not me.
Not short and thick?
No. Well, maybe. Short summary about, and we put links in, don't we? So,
yeah.
In fact, the last one that's gone out, we put a writing prompt in.
Yeah, because we do. The thing is, the more we do this, we realise the people who interact with us, we get more out of it, and they get more out of it. So we've had people. Somebody got in touch with me this week who knew somebody who's in Hamilton in the West End.
Check you out.
I know, and with a little bit of luck, you never know.
You never know.
There's a might be that they may give us a little bit of inside information on it.
Possibly.
So
maybe.
We're begging that person rings us back, really, aren't we? Just in case they want to listen to this and find out what's going on.
You just got all of your cool and got rid of it then?
No, all my cool's gone.
Okay.
But what's funny is it was through somebody I went to school with who's been listening to the podcast. Mm-hmm. So hello to Mark Foster. We can mention people.
Hello, Mark Foster.
Oh, you said that better than I did.
I think actually I have him on Facebook now.
Do you?
Yes.
Is he following? He's a bit of a stalker. No, he does that. I think.
Welcome all stalkers. I just welcome listeners.
But no, do you know? And it's nice the way that we always talk about like things happen because of things you did years and years ago. And he sent me a picture of being in a play when we were at school, and a picture of both of us. How romantic was that?
Bit of romance going on.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. The domino effect is massive in anything that you do. We've been talking about that today, haven't we?
We have.
About how we can't do something half-heartedly. You've got to graft.
I think that because we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
All the trends, more people are listening.
Yeah.
And we just want more people. So if you tell people about what we're doing, if you like this, and also tell us what you want, and also if you want to be a guest. We want people to want to come on the show, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
What did we just do? We've just been to see some other people, and within half an hour, they're going, "Oh, you should come on our show." And if we wouldn't have gone and asked them the question, it wouldn't have happened.
It's all about the networking.
So come on.
I think I'll just say that was my contact there, Carl.
It was. I'll give you that one.
No, it's right. It's true.
So if you want to come on the show, if you've got any questions, or even if you've got questions for some of the guests that we have on, we can always pass those questions on, and let's keep it going, because everyone's now a friend of the podcast, aren't they?
Yeah, why not?
And you've got one of your friends, haven't you? He does these like funny poems, and
he's a
does
comedian,
the clubs and
poet. He's a fantastic Frog and Bucket regular performer.
Yeah.
And we chatted to him.
We did not long ago.
No,
I love the look on your face then.
Because
when did we talk to him?
I know, yeah, lockdown brain, lockdown. No, Tony Kinsella.
Yeah, and do you know what? He gave us a brilliant interview. The thing is about Tony is it's not very often I speak to somebody who can talk more than me.
No, it's not.
And
I'll give you that.
And he could talk, couldn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't bore you. He was fantastic, full of life.
He didn't bore you. I didn't. That's not where I was coming from.
Good.
Do you know, there's a bit of the interview, and a little bit of a thing was, I said to him, oh, that's a bit like this, and this person I used to listen to, and he went, yeah, I wrote his autobiography, and that was quite cool. So it was like we were really coming from the same direction.
He was very humble as well, which we are on a roll.
Well, he is, though, isn't he?
He is.
I think that...
I'm doing a comedy workshop with him.
Are you?
Very soon.
I've been invited onto his internet show in a couple of weeks.
I've been on that. The Sunday Assembly.
The Sunday Assembly.
It's really, really good. Cool.
I'm going to do some magic.
Yeah. No, that's
but
fantastic.
I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell a story.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do some magic that's relevant to the story.
Fab. I'll go on to that one.
Are you going to watch?
Yeah. That was a poet one week. And the presenter, if it's the same one, she's a Manchester radio presenter who presents that. It's really good. But what's really weird on these Zooms, as you know, you perform into an audience and then everyone's muted and you're thinking, do they love me? Do they hate me? She's making a cup of tea. She's eating crumpets.
while they're watching you.
Yeah.
Well, I did a lecture the other week, and then all of a sudden different pictures started flashing up, and most of the time it was just old blokes with bald heads watching me. And then all of a sudden there was a woman lay on a bed, and this picture, I'm like, it actually quite shocks me. And
a woman lay on a bed in your magic lecture?
Yeah, it was. I think she was eating a butty, but it was a woman. There are female magicians.
I know there are. We've had on our first guest.
Absolutely. Hello, Nicola.
Hi, Nicola, if you're listening.
Yeah. Oh, she's definitely a friend of the show. She keeps.
Well, you share us in Ireland.
Yeah,
you keep sharing us.
She does. So, shall we do the interview thing?
Yeah, let's play it.
Who is it?
It's Tony Kinsella.
Enjoy.
It's interview time on Word on Our Street.
It's as easy as that.
It is as easy as that. And here we are again, perched in our pod.
We're in a pod now.
2 peas in a pod.
3.
3 peas in a pod.
You can't count.
Oh, here we go. So we've got a brilliant guest today. Tony, this is the first time I've met you face to face.
Yes,
in
true.
person.
Yeah.
We've met via Zoom, haven't we?
Yeah.
Via Zoom.
Via Zoom. Via. Yeah.
Definitely the first time I've been in a pod as well, I think.
Yeah, well, how would you like our studio set up?
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's
very intimate, isn't it? It's an intimate. So
we've got Febreze if it smells.
I just close the windows.
Tony, is it Tony Kinsella?
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds Italian.
It's an Irish name. They actually pronounce it Kinsella in Ireland, but for some reason there's an anglicised pronunciation as well.
You are a comedian / poet, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to go straight into it. First of all, I met you on, was it Word of Mouth? Which open mic was it?
I think it was a Speakeasy.
Speakeasy,
yeah.
which is usually on in Sale.
Yeah.
But obviously we did it through Zoom.
That's
and
right.
then more recently, you had me as a guest very kindly.
Wonderful guest.
On the Sunday Assembly.
Yes.
How did you get into poetry and comedy, first of all? Well, and then we'll cover everything you do.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's a sideline because I've been a teacher my whole working life ever since I graduated. And the poetry I'd always written, but like a lot of people, just secreted it away and never let anybody see it. And, just kind of wrote it in little notebooks and stuff. The comedy has a direct link to my teaching because I used to teach an A-level English language class. And in the A-level English language, you could do any subject you wanted for your coursework as long as you put a commentary alongside it.
Cool.
And this young lad called Alan Wilde came to see me at the end of a lesson and said, can I do my stand-up comedy routine? Now, I knew there was working men's club comedians, the sort of Bernard Mannings of this world, not my cup of tea. And I'd seen people like Billy Connolly at theatres, but I didn't know there was this substrata where anybody could
Really?
actually get up and do stand-up. I know about it now.
What year? When was this?
This would have been late 90s when I first, I'd been teaching for a good 15 years at that point.
So you stole your idea off a student?
I think, well, what happened was he told me that there was this circuit, open mic circuit that I'd never heard of before. There was a particular night called, it used to be called the Worst Comedy Night in Salford, but then they
was it? Was it?
A couple of times I went, it definitely was. But
Okay.
I started writing material for Alan because I couldn't see myself performing comedy, but I knew I could write it. And he went on tour with Johnny Vegas.
Wow.
And when he came back, he said, I didn't get to see him on tour, he was all over the country. But he told me he was back doing this, it's called a Comedy Balloon now, it's an open mic night. And I said, I'll come along and watch you doing my jokes. But he's one of these comedians, if somebody distracted him in the first 30 seconds, he'd spent the whole 10 minutes doing improv. So I've got around
let me just jump in.
Yeah.
You went on tour with Johnny Vegas.
Yes.
And you
doing my material, yeah.
Did you get credited?
He credited me in programmes and things like
good.
that, but Johnny Vegas wasn't particularly big at the time, so they weren't doing big venues.
What an amazing story is that, Cal?
I went to see Johnny Vegas in Manchester just when he was starting out.
Yeah.
And we used to go to a lot of comedy clubs.
Yeah.
And it shows how people change or they're trying stuff out, because this isn't being horrible because everyone's done it.
Yeah.
He bombed.
Yeah,
I mean, literally, there was loads of people on that night, and of all the people that were on, he was the one that you went, what was that about?
Really?
It was unbelievably sort of bad.
How did he handle it though? Obviously, the audience was just not clapping and stuff. Yeah.
No, he just didn't care.
That's the way to
Johnny
be,
Vegas.
isn't it?
Well, the story about bombing, I then went along to watch him. He didn't do any of my jokes, but then he said to me, why don't you come back and do your own jokes next week? And my first thought was, oh God, I couldn't do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And as I was driving home, I was thinking, if it'd been on that night, would I have been the best? No, there was 2 or 3 very good ones. Would I have been the worst? Absolutely not, because there was at least 4 acts who absolutely stuck the place out. So I just thought, what have I got to lose? I'll learn 10 minutes of jokes next week. I had little prompts, bits of paper, which a lot of people have when they start off. Went up. People more or less laughed in the right places, and I was pretty much hooked from then. I've been doing stand-up ever since, yeah.
That's good to see. When people throw tomatoes at me, I just think it's an extra 1 in my 5 a day.
Yes.
It's where you've got to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it quite nerve-wracking trying out new material when you do that for the first time in front of an audience?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I was always writing fresh material because I had people during those days who used to turn up and do the same 10 minutes week after week after week, and there is some mileage in that, because then if you start getting paid gigs, you absolutely know your own material inside out. I'm primarily a writer and a performer second, so there was no value in that for me. If I did a 10-minute slot, if I was going back the next week or the next couple of weeks, I would want to write another 10 minutes because I got passion from the writing more than the actual performing. So, I mean, it becomes less nerve-wracking the more you do it, pretty much like anything else, really. And there is a little bit of a myth about the kind of tomato throwing thing that you said, that if you're doing the Frog and Bucket or the Comedy Store on a Friday night and people know you're getting 250 quid for doing it and they're paying 12 quid for a ticket, they expect a certain level of quality. Open mic nights, audiences tend to be quite tolerant because they know, they're getting in for nothing. Sorry, Carl.
No, I was going to say that's my experience.
I
think there's another one of our friends. He organises comedy nights, or he used to, and we used to go and support some of that, and they were always trying out new material. Some were brilliant, and others, when it didn't work, there was none of that. All it was basically, that didn't work, and they'd come and talk to you about it afterwards. And they say, oh, that line didn't work, that didn't, and even some of them were getting up with notes because it was brand new material.
Really? Well, I've spoken to in the past a couple of female comedians, because still it's very male dominated.
It is,
What do you think about that? Do you think women are just not funny? Be careful.
I mean, it's changed a lot. We actually did a big charity event way back in 1999 called Stand Up 100. And it was 100 comedians on one night. We did it at the dance house. It was a hell of a pragmatic thing in terms of getting it organised.
Yeah.
And we used to meet once a week and see how we were getting on when we were planning it. And we got up to 40, 50, 60. And we were genuinely looking for female comedians, but they just didn't seem to be out there.
Do you know, another one of my friends did that.
Yeah.
Was on it. A guy called Andrew Normansell.
Oh, no, yes, he was Andy King as a performer, wasn't he? He was a magician as well.
I didn't expect to mention him today.
He was a regular at the Comedy Balloon, yeah.
I've been on a few comedy writing courses and I would like to have a go, but I don't know if I'd just be laughed at.
I think that's
That's
the point.
the idea.
No, not in a good way. Laughter act. Like as in what she's
The old
doing.
Bob Monkhouse joke. People said I should never become a comedian, but they're not laughing now.
You just nicked my next line.
I did a bit, and I fluffed it.
So Tony, that's your comedy, which is brilliant. Now, the first time I met you, it was a poetry night, wasn't it? And you mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because remember, you told me when I was walking around the house with my Zoom, you went, Jenny, your mic's still
Oh,
on. I'm
that's
just
right,
letting
yes.
you know.
Yeah.
So how did you start performing your poetry if you were a secret writer?
I actually started to integrate it into the stand-up quite early on. I'd usually do a combination of jokes and then maybe one or two funny poems. And the nice thing about that, like you said, it's a mostly male circuit. It's a mostly white male circuit. So you'd get Comedy Blue on a typical night. You get 9, 10, 11 comedians. They'd probably all be male. They'd probably all be white. They'd probably all be talking about how horrible the girlfriend is and this type of thing. So to get up and do a poem, you kind of had a different dynamic straight away. So if I was the only one out of 10 comics on the night who actually integrated a little bit of poetry, then people appreciated that they'd kind of seen something a bit different.
So obviously it went down well.
Yeah, you know, like you said, hit and miss. I've had terrible nights and I've had really good nights, but that's the nature of the beast, really. I had a friend, there's a guy called Tony Law, a Canadian comedian, and I once did a competition quite early on in front of 250 students at Liverpool University, and I did okay. I actually got to it was a competition. I got to the final, but Tony couldn't make enough time for me afterwards. He was chatting to me for about 40 minutes. You should have opened with this. You need to slow down a little bit on this punchline. And I said to him, it's really nice of you to spend so much time. And he said, I've done stand-up comedy for years, but I've also acted in theatre for years. And if you're a theatre actor, you can perform in such a way that you stick the place out, but you'll probably still get a curtain call and a round of applause at the end of the night. So you might go home thinking you were wonderful. If you're a comedian, you stick the place out, you know you stuck the place out because nobody's laughed. You know, you walked off to the sound of your own footsteps and felt really embarrassed about it. So
I thought that was a normal thing, walking off to the sound of your own footsteps. I'm in my act all the time.
But, you know, a Peter Kay, like you say, Johnny Vegas, no matter how brilliant they've become over a period of time, they've all had early stages of their career where they've had an absolutely terrible gig. So comedians tend to be...
You've got to find out what doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's as important as finding out what does work,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing now, isn't it?
Absolutely. Do you know what, by about the 100th podcast we'll get it right, won't we?
We'll be like, no one's listening.
Oh, they are, though. That's the thing, they are listening.
No, they are. They really are listening.
So when you were first getting into your poetry and you're getting into your comedy, and who were the main influences on you? Because one of the things we like to do in the podcast is we get people to backtrack on how they've ended up where they are, really. So we do that with lots of things like films and books and how people have got to listen and do stuff. So who were your first influences?
I mean, as a Salfordian, first and foremost, the band of Salford, John Cooper Clarke. I was into me punk. I was into, you know, kind of undertones and buzzcocks and stuff like that. And John Cooper Clarke would rock up as support act at punk nights when I was there with a little exercise, but no need to do a sound check. He'd just walk up. And there's also a guy called John Hegley, who's he kind of does a mixture of poetry, songs with the ukulele before the ukulele was a commonplace thing. So I suppose they would be my two main influences that made me feel I wanted to get up and do the same thing.
Just because I love John Cooper Clarke, what was he like as a person when? Because you know, if he's listening, he's welcome to come on here. You know, just putting it out there.
The difficulty of that is he just doesn't bother with technology. I've heard that I've never gigged with him. I've been to his gigs, but I know people who've tried to get him to do gigs and just said he doesn't have a mobile phone, he doesn't have a computer, he doesn't even have a landline. You've got to ring his mum. I don't know whether this is still the case. And his mum's got to walk around the corner and pass a message on, and he's got to ring you back. So that would be your difficulty if you wanted to book him. As a person, he's absolutely amazing, just totally down to earth. I've only chatted to him after gigs. I've never worked with him, but he'll always find time for fans and enjoy chatting to you. He's a really
I like to hear that because up to now we've met some very down to earth people. Off the podcast, I've met a few totters, but I won't name drop. Just putting it out there.
Do we not let them on?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? No, we don't let them on. We have a list of tossers.
Does it matter how many followers they've got on Instagram?
If they've got like 50,000 followers, I love them again. In a completely fickle and double standards.
Do you know, we were having I was out the other day and we were having a bit of a reminisce. Because I used to really love people like Mike Harding.
Yeah, I went to see Mike Harding a few times, yeah.
And do you remember Dave Williamson? Wigan lad.
Bob Williamson.
Bob Williamson, sorry.
Get this, lad. I've written his biography. You know he's passed away now.
I did know, but do you know what I did the other night? I went on YouTube and watched a load of his old acts.
Oh, really?
And I realised I'm using most of his material.
No.
It's like, you go, I do that guy, I can do that. And you forget that when you was a kid, because we went to see him at Lancaster and Hall, we went to see him.
Yeah.
Did you really do that?
Well, I knew him really well, and he kept on telling me all these absolutely wonderful anecdotes, and I said, you should write a book. And he'd actually had a bad fall. He was very ill for the last 9 or 10 years of his life. It all stemmed from a fall downstairs. So I went round to his house over a period of 3 or 4 months and actually wrote up the biography. He's not a big well-known name himself, but because he's worked with Mike Harding, Billy Connolly, Jasper Carrott.
But you know what he was? He was nearly famous.
Yeah, that's the yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that was his.
So I've still got the biography on my inbox, but at the time I sent it to probably 50 or 60 publishers and just couldn't get anybody interested, unfortunately.
Really? Do you know what? I watched some of his stuff the other night and I was smiling all the way through it, and then there's some absolutely cracking lines. But it's a different pace than today, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you watch it, I just tell you what, watch is the Wheel Tappers and Shunters set.
Yeah.
And he's there sort of having a bit of banter with Colin Crompton.
Yeah.
But it's very slow. It's quite, even for TV, it's quite deliberate.
Right.
And it's interesting to watch that.
But people talk about the Ben Elton and the Young Ones being the alternative comedy, but really it was that folk circuit, because people like Bob Williams and Jasper Carrott, Billy Connolly, they weren't coming on in the fluffy Dickie Bow and the bow tie and all that type of thing. They weren't telling jokes about fat mothers-in-law. They weren't telling jokes about Pakistanis and Irishmen. So there was actually a different alternative circuit long before the Young Ones came along.
When you say it was slower, do you think the younger society today, if they watched it fresh, wouldn't find it funny? What do you mean it was a slower paced?
It probably would be quite dated. I don't know what you think, Carl, but
I think I could watch it for what it was.
Yeah.
But I think if I showed it to any of the kids,
yeah,
they'd be going, "What's this, Dad?" It's not, because the jokes are there, but there's like quite big gaps between the jokes.
Yeah.
And I think even when you watch Jasper Carrott and Mike Harding, it's the same. So do you play a musical instrument as well?
I don't play any music, no. I really wish I'd learned the guitar way back in the day. It's probably still not too late.
Yeah.
Maybe a retirement project, but I really wish I could put some tunes to them sometimes.
So where are you doing most of your performing at the moment?
Over the years I've done a lot of stuff at the Comedy Store, the Frog and Bucket, and all the kind of classic venues. There's two things about the way I perform now. First of all, I prefer the kind of, you can almost call it an alternative cabaret circuit, particularly around Bolton and Wigan and places like that. You go to a gig where you get a singer-songwriter and then a poet, and I can get up and do stand-up, or if there's too many stand-ups on, I can switch to poetry instead. And I really like those kind of evenings because it's the variety of it. It's like I said before, if you go to an open mic night and watch 9 or 10 comedians, if I make 9, 10 on the bill, you're going to be absolutely bored stiff by the time I come on, because you're hearing very similar stuff. But if you're doing 10 bits of comedy after somebody's done quite a serious song or quite a thought-provoking poem, people are actually quite enjoying the sort of light relief of it. So I do that, and then I hit 25 years of teaching 6 years ago. I'd never done a full-length comedy show. I'd done lots of 15, 20-minute slots. So I decided I would write a whole 1-hour show, collaborated with a musician, where I actually told the story of my teaching experiences. And I enjoyed that. So I put my own gig on. I would have to find my own venue and publicise it on social media. But I enjoyed that experience so much, and it was so much more of a challenge as a writer, that I've done it ever since. I've done a full-length show. I did one about Brexit, but it was all about the European cities that I particularly love. I did one about Hygge and Lago, which are Scandinavian concepts of happiness. I've done one about the Undertones, the punk band. I've done one about the Shangri-Las, the leader of the pack. So I kind of challenged myself to write a brand new show year on year.
That's awesome.
It's because I'm primarily a writer.
Yeah.
People say, "What, you spent 6 months writing it and 2 months rehearsing it, and you only did it 3 or 4 times?" And it's like, but the writing wasn't the labour. The writing was the bit I enjoyed the most.
Cool. That's really, really, especially you challenge yourself yearly. Now you've come armed with publications. So are we going to hear a little bit?
Well, when you mentioned about the crossover between comedy and poetry, one of the things that I've kind of specialised in, I don't really know whether anybody else is really doing this, is to take a one-liner joke and actually rewrite it as a poem. Cool, and the beauty of that, you get the credit for making it rhyme, but you also get a good joke. And I've got, this is my little red book, so-called because hardly anybody's ever read it.
It is literally a little red book.
Because nobody's ever read it.
Because it's little, it's red, and it's a book.
So it's like a mini Bible.
These are all literally 10 seconds long, so just throw things at me when you get bored. But this one's called Zoo Poem. I phoned up the zoo and made high-pitched noises. My call was recorded for training porpoises. A groan is as good as a laugh for these, I tell you. This one's
as good as a laugh.
This is dedicated to Whoopi Goldberg, who Whoopi Goldberg's original surname was Johnson, but her mother told her to take a Jewish surname because she thought it would help her in Hollywood. So when I found out that, I wrote this: Whoopi Goldberg. You changed your name to Goldberg to try to sound more like a Jew. At least you didn't marry that French bloke, or you'd be Whoopi Depardieu. Even worse if you married Peter Cushing, because he was so much older than you. And, this is my favourite. It's a love poem called First Date, A Dodgy First Date in a Posh French Restaurant. The menu was terribly tricky. Cordon bleu for the nouveau riche. I told her I wanted a quickie, but the correct pronunciation was quiche. So you see, they're standard jokes, but I've just kind of reworked them into a simple little rhyme scheme. So yeah,
we like that.
I like that. I like the quiche.
But I also, here's a longer one, but it's again just full of absolute one-liners, and it's called
Here's what I did earlier.
It's a Blue Peter
This is my
moment.
first book. I've actually self-published 2 books, so this is the first one. It's called If You Tolerate This, Your Brain Cells Will Be Next, is the name of the book. But the poem's called She Thought. And
that wouldn't be nicked from a song.
It's it was T.S. Eliot who said, "Good writers borrow and great writers steal."
Yeah.
So this is my next poem, "The Wasteland." No, this
before you do that, I'm guessing this is available on a website. Or
Unfortunately, I've only self-published, so your best bet, if you like what you hear, is just to find me on Facebook. I'm under my own name on Facebook, Tony Kinsella, and I'm more than happy to send out copies of the book, a £5 for a book, and I've actually got a second one that's just about to be published, which I think is a lot better. But yeah, I'd be happy to send the new book out to anybody who messages me on
We'll
Facebook.
make sure we put links to that as well.
Yeah,
so it's
thank you.
good. I'm looking forward to this. I just wanted to have a little gap between the poems.
I just want to say also, because it's not out there, just share our podcast to thousands of people and
Yeah.
download it that way.
Yeah. So this one's dedicated to the least intelligent girl I ever went out with, and believe me, there was a lot of competition for that. But it's called She Thought. She thought wounded pride was when lions get hurt. She thought a portable TV was a trucker in a skirt. She thought Posh and Becks was champagne laced with lager. She thought a story set in the future was a Forsyte saga. She thought Queen Victoria was a gay train station. She thought DNA was the National Dyslexia Association. Think about it. She thought the Isle of Dogs was a ghetto for mingers. She thought a golden shower was a job lot of gingers. She thought a blunderbuss was a driver's mistake. She thought a boomerang was an exploding cake. She thought the X-Files was a list of divorces. She thought missing links were hidden golf courses. She thought Beachcomber was unconscious sand. She thought WD-40 was a reggae band. She thought jet lag was for keeping planes warmer. She thought mow the grass was a Jewish informer. She thought a finger buffet was a snack bar for cannibals. She thought a shih tzu was a load of dead animals. She thought espresso was an artificial language. She thought Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a garlic sandwich. She thought a Clockwork Orange was a crap mobile phone. She thought Jennifer Capriati killed Sherlock Holmes. She thought a glossary was a catalogue of lipstick. She thought Tiger Woods was a bad place for a picnic. She thought chili dogs were South American mongrels. She thought origami was one of the wombles. She thought strong liquor was a powerful tongue. She thought a pooper scooper was an ABBA song. I thought she'd love me forever and ever, but last night she dumped me. I guess I'm not so clever.
Oh, was that written about someone in particular?
No. Again, it was effectively just lots of one-liners masqueraded as a poem. So I'm finding a way.
Like the Tiger Woods, a dangerous place for a picnic.
Yeah,
I might borrow that.
that's
It's not like you, is it?
I probably nicked that one. It's probably Gary Delaney or somebody like that.
So recently,
But he didn't put it in a poem, so I'm okay.
Recently, you have been plastered all over Facebook with other people holding a red book.
Yes.
Is that the famous red book?
This is I used to do the joke about my little red book because it's not very widely read, but one of the other members of Bard Company, I'm in a quartet called Bard Company with Ian Whiteley, Jeff Arama, and the punk poet and Gordon Zola, and we got together. I always get these figures wrong.
Is he a bit cheesy?
He is a bit cheesy, yeah. There's actually a Gordon Zola pizza.
The fact you had to act that out was quite bad.
He actually runs a night called Cuckoo in Prestwich at the Cuckoo Wine Bar, and they've actually adopted the Gordon Zola pizza in his honour. So yeah,
Can we just have Carl not being professional? Our pod's gone a little bit like it's
No
rocking.
worries.
Our pod's rocking. Should we take a breath count? Sometimes they have to count to 10.
None of us
with
are
him.
getting paid, so we don't have to be professional, do we?
Apparently people like people laughing on air.
Oh dear. I know, but they don't have to sit next to you, do they?
So
Okay.
So we're 4 solo performers, but we thought it'd be nice to sort of write stuff as a team. And we made 2 CDs, and we put the book out because of lockdown. We did our second CD, Raising the Standards, and we were all set to go. We did a couple of gigs, but it was just on the cusp of lockdown, so nobody turned up. We're quite used to gigs where nobody turned up, but we actually had an excuse this time. People just didn't want to go out. And since then we've been in lockdown, so we mostly promote the CDs at gigs. You can get the CD online as well. But we've not been able to gig, so we've not been able to sell any. So we had a Zoom meeting and said, what do we do to keep Bad Company active again? And one of us, it wasn't me, but one of the group had the idea of doing Bad Company's Little Red Book. So it's almost like a summer annual. It's got dingbats in it, it's got anagrams, it's got little quizzes, all with a very left-wing socialist bias. But we've also done little profiles, and each of us has submitted a number of poems in it. So because we should have been doing lots of festivals this summer, we should have been doing the Green Gathering and the Wigan Diggers Festival. I ended up writing a poem for the book called Festival. I'm Bolshy Bard, by the way. We've got Rocky Bard, Punky Bard, Cheesy Bard, and I'm Bolshy Bard, obviously, because I always get into arguments. But this was a poem called Festival that I wrote. You were my festival, my midnight campfire, my jangly guitars on starlit nights, my manic laughter track, my bugs on a canvas ground sheet coassassin, my spirit of the blitzkrieg bop, my hey ho, let's go, my left field pyramid, my unsigned shoegazing runt of the recycled litter, my passion for the gung-ho, the flag bearer on my aching shoulders, my Dolores, my Amy, my glorious blast of crazy. She was my normality, my nights in white satin sheets, pre-washed and pre-conditioned, my electric landlady on Respectable Street, my interest accruing ISA, my wine and cheese with influences, my buffer and my safety network, my hey-ho, it's off to work we go, my northern rock in a Panama haven, my safe option. Now, I listen without prejudice to our mutually bland and anodyne playlist, spiced up on shuffle mode, stifle my lion's roar, yielding to a life secure, while pining for one last encore.
Thank you. I like that one. Carl? Stop laughing now. What?
I've stopped laughing now.
Yeah, it was meant to be a more serious one. I mean,
But you calm me down.
yeah. Well, the other thing is, because I'm a member of Bolton Socialist Club and Bad Company are very much on the left, and we do all the big left-wing festivals, so as well as the comedy stuff, I do a little bit of quite personal stuff, but I also do quite political ranting. And sorry, my second book, which is just in the process of being published, is called Vladimir Putin is in my kettle, and it's
That picture's brilliant.
it's sort of become topical again because the big news item this week is about the Russians hacking into the elections and all that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I wrote it when when the story first came out about the Russians influencing our elections, and there was a story that the Russians were spying on us through our laptops, mobile phones, but even our hoovers and microwaves and kettles and that type of thing. So again, this one's a kind of combination really of humour, but making a political point.
Okay,
And this is the title track of the book. Vladimir Putin is in my kettle. The Russians are coming. They're pushing and shoving as I'm plumping my cushions while something keeps buzzing. There's a bug in my rug and a drone in my cupboard. My taps have been tapped, all my secrets are scuppered. My houseplants have implants with routers for petals, and Vladimir Putin is in my kettle. There's a spy in my shed who's trying to spot me. Reds under my bed are driving me potty. A tracking device has been stashed in my ice pack. There's miniature mics disguised as a spice rack. The Russians are cumin. Sorry. My mobile is speaking. My teaspoons are trembling. My radiator's leaking direct to the Kremlin. My laptop's rebooting. My settee won't settle. And Vladimir Putin is in my kettle. The cream for my cold sore is laced with hallucinogens. It's just like the Cold War all over again. My toothpaste are lighting a dissident trickle. My pet dogs are fighting like hammer and sickle. My coffee, I'm certain, tastes suspiciously sugary, and my iron curtains are twitching like buggery. My radio's a radar with antennas on it, and my goggle box is a two-way monitor. My toothpicks are shooting tiny arrows of metal, and Vladimir Putin is in my kettle. Lenin's in the living room, Stalin's in the attic, the Stasi are in the Kazi with their semi-automatics, the KGB's in the airing cupboard, fiddling the thermostatic. Don't go in the kitchen, or you'll meet old Andropov. And Boris Yeltsin sinking cocktails laced with Molotov. Trotsky's hatching Plotskys to try to win back power. Engels is in the lobby. Karl Marx is in the shower. Gorbachev's in the crescent, looking for communist fault lines. There's 1 million Russian peasants in my cellar's Siberian salt mines. Randy Rasputin is in fine fettle, but there's no disputing the face in the metal. Vladimir Putin is in my kettle.
Thank you.
So be careful out there.
I'm a bit paranoid now.
I am.
All joking apart, though, my wife is paranoid.
About what?
Do you know about the telly's listening to you?
Yeah.
And, we've got one of those Google Pod things.
What it does
and your
listen.
phone. So how come I mentioned something and all of a sudden we've got adverts popping up? I've never searched. Everyone says that, don't they?
But it does happen. So basically, let's all talk about Word and Hour Street, and it might pop up on everyone's computer.
Just keep saying Word and Hour Street.
Tony, you've been amazing. Really,
you.
really good guest. Before you go, because you've told, you've shown us both your talents there and advertised like this. Where can we find you? So tell us a little bit about the Sunday Assembly where I met you.
So Sunday Assembly, it used to be a once-a-month event, which we were doing. We've had a number of venues, but we were in Niamos, which is next to the community gardens in Hume. We may be changing location for various reasons, but once we hit lockdown, we went on to online assemblies. And then because we were all stuck in doing nothing week after week, I was working from home, but, even still, we decided to go weekly. And the beauty of that was that, you're relatively local, Jenny, but we managed to source poets in Somerset and Birmingham and London because it's online.
Yeah.
So suddenly we've been able to get all these speakers who are not going to rock up to Manchester at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning when they've got other things to do, but are quite happy to log on. So we have a guest poet. Jenny has done it. We've got Pete the Poet coming up quite soon. We've had Jeff Arama, we've had Chip Hamer from Poetry on the Picket Line. And we get guest speakers as well. We had Justin Morehouse, the stand-up comedian. Tommy Haydock, who runs Excess Malarkey. We've got Andy Burnham coming up. We've got Robin Ince, who does the Infinite Monkey Cage. So it's basically...
So if people want to watch, what can they do? How can they get involved?
Facebook's your best bet. If you just find Sunday Assembly Manchester on Facebook, and there's a weekly event, with a Zoom login, and all you got to do is click on the Zoom login and somebody will invite you into the meeting. So you get 1 hour of guest speakers, thought-provoking poetry. We do a couple of songs where people can sing along if they want to. We have 2 minutes reflection. So it's a kind of congregation without faith for people who don't want to go to church, for people who are not particularly religious, but like that sense of community and spirituality.
Yeah. And I've been a guest speaker and I can highly recommend it.
Yes,
so get Facebooking, get joining, get your brew ready and log on.
We'll put all the links on everything as well.
So
please,
on the blog and everything like that. And we're going to play out today's episode with your song as well.
Right, so this is a song called Woman of the Windrush, and it actually began as a poem, and it's dedicated to Sarah Clark, who's one of many of the victims of the Windrush scandal, and lived in England since the early 60s, had 2 children, British citizens, but was hounded because she couldn't provide the paperwork from 50 years ago. I can't find receipts from things that I bought last week. And she ended up losing a job. They wouldn't pay her any benefits. She was depending on family bailouts just to keep her head above water.
Really?
Eventually couldn't pay her rent and died of a heart attack while the bailiffs were banging her door down. So I kind of felt, there's lots of people who suffered, but once I read that story, I felt she deserved a poem. And that poem evolved into a song once we got the wonderful John Kettle from Merry Hell, who runs a recording studio, turned my poem into this song.
And you can buy that for £1, can't you?
You can buy the one track for £1, or you can buy the CD. I think off the top of my head it's £12 for the full CD. Lots of wonderful songs celebrating past heroes of socialism.
So we will put all the links to all of your fantastic work, and thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk about myself.
No, thanks for coming in. And like I say, I'm sure everyone's looking forward to hearing the song at the end of the podcast.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Give your head a wobble. You're listening to the Word on Our Street podcast.
How good was that?
It's all right.
I'm going to have to take that out. You can't say just all right.
I was going to joke with Tony. Tony knows us.
I know.
He's a lovely man though as well.
I don't want to drink out of his kettle though. So you're thinking, why? You can't remember the poem, can you?
Of course I can. I liked his little black book of jokes.
No, I did. All them one-liners.
He rewrote the one-liners. That's clever.
No, I think there's a few of those that I might borrow.
Right.
Do you think that's fair?
Well, if you sell him, I'm sure he won't mind.
I'm looking forward to going on his show.
I bet you are.
Well, that'll be cool.
No, but it's dead good. It's lovely. When is that? Do you know the date yet?
I'm not sure of the dates off the top of my head. I think it's next week.
It's a Sunday assembly, and you can join it on Facebook for anyone that wants to just go and watch.
Yeah.
And it's like he described it to me because he saw one of my poems and asked me to go on and said, it's like a Sunday assembly with absolutely no religion and you can't swear.
Yeah, it's amazing as we meet all these people, all the things they get up to.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it's outside the box. It's like we said, we want people from the arts, and but people get involved with so many things that you wouldn't even think of.
No.
And also present what they do in different ways and at different things. And
that is a positive of lockdown, I think, because you can dodge agents and stuff, and everyone's online. So I feel we're meeting.
Well, as an agent, that's a great thing. Thanks very much.
I dodge Carl a lot, to be honest with you. I really do. I try.
Yeah, you're very trying. I know. So anyway, I watched something this week, and I thought it was quite arty.
You have got more time on your hands than anyone I know.
Now, it was another Disney Plus thing, I've got to say. So I'm getting my money's worth out of that.
It's great Disney though.
But it's not like Disney.
Well, go on. What did you watch? Toy Story.
No.
Frozen.
No, I watched Black is King, which is a visual album by the legend that is Beyonce.
Why have I not even heard about this?
Because you just listen to your poems.
I listen and write my poems. I'm writing a book at the moment. Have I mentioned this?
I think you might have mentioned it a couple of times.
I'm very busy.
So I didn't know what to expect, but I'd read about it.
Right.
And obviously I love music, and I love film, and I like dance. I like Beyonce. I wouldn't say I love Beyonce. I like Beyonce. I've got a couple of albums. They're still called albums or downloads or whatever people call tunes. I have a couple of
Have you got a mixtape, Carl? That's the question.
A Beyonce mixtape. No, I've not got one of them.
Right. So this actually, seriously, I want to watch this. It sounds.
Well, it was very, very. So you start. You go, click.
Yeah.
Does your remote control go click? Mine doesn't. So I press go. Press play.
Are you
and it was a little bit like the start of, and it does use this. If you imagine the background music to Lion King.
Yeah.
So I
don't know what Lion King you've been watching or listening to, but either your Ariel's a bit wonky, I don't know what you're doing. You sounded like an Aborigine playing a...
Yeah, good. No, bit of that.
Did you do?
Very, very, very sort of African based.
Right.
There's it starts off.
Aborigines are not African based.
No, they're Australian.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll go with it.
I'm just going with the
just
links
go.
of
You
people.
don't have to contradict everything I say.
I don't want to offend people because you can't say anything these days, can you?
Oh, we're on a podcast. We can say what we want.
Go on then.
And so it starts off with a little bit of a Moses basket going down a river.
Right.
So you obviously in your head you think there's a baby in that.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts. So now I've likened this. This is definitely a treat for your eyes, because
like a massage for your eyes.
Yeah, I could say that.
Okay.
Now, do you know if you ever go into a TV shop and they have these special videos that show off your HD on these new tellies?
Yeah,
and they're always done in like vivid colours, and so it shows off your telly the best it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So you go, I want one of them, and
They're
then
always at the front and near the till.
Yeah, and then when you get it home, it never looks the same as in the shop. Well, it was as if this was an hour and a quarter's worth of that kind of thing. It looked absolutely spectacular. There's such vivid colours, such amazing scenery. In fact, the way I likened it, because I started making a few notes, because I did that, and I thought that, do you know what, if you could pause that film anywhere you want, and I mean literally anywhere, you could pause it and it would make a poster.
Really?
It's that good.
So it's a high-budgeted one.
I kept looking at it and going, if I paused it here now, and I've just got this thing in my head that every single frame had been looked at as if it was what was the poster shop we used to have years ago, Athena. No, the Athena posters. There used to be shops where you could buy posters.
Water?
I think that was before your time.
Yeah, I do.
And you used to be able to buy posters for your bedroom at Athena, and they were all very sort of really high res
I
pictures.
used to get mine from Woolworths.
Did you? Same sort of thing.
Right.
But you literally, some of the costumes, the scenery, the skies are the bluest of the blue, and it looks absolutely amazing. Now,
So it's a picturesque of their albums, is what you're telling me.
so well, you don't know any of the music. It's all new music,
Right.
and a lot of the music is very R&B. It's like I say, some of it is that type of African sound. It's certainly not a pop album, and it's
Is
got
she
some
singing
it's
it
got some
or-
rap in it. Now she's in
Yeah.
some of it.
Right.
That's the thing. She's not in all of it.
I like that.
She's in some of it. Now, this, like I say, this thing is literally a feast for the eyes. I'm a big dance fan. Right, I love dance. I do events and things like that. And there is some amazing, because of the scenery and the costumes and everything else that goes with it. So another aspect was the costumes and the dance. Unbelievable.
Really?
Absolutely unbelievable.
Okay.
But you know where I'm going with this, though, don't you?
No, I really don't.
No, there's a but. There is a but.
What was you saying about but before?
It negates everything that goes before it.
Exactly.
And the but is, I'm not sure how commercial. If it wasn't a visual album,
Yeah.
if it didn't have this spectacular scenery, if it didn't have the amazing dancing, if it wasn't the spectacular show that it is, I'm not sure I'd ever listen to it again.
So it is a show, though, isn't it? So that's what it's like being in. Was it like being in the theatre to some level?
It's
Animation.
got, well, I can imagine this on a big screen
I'm imagining animation here.
would be amazing. But it's not. It's not animation.
Right.
It's all. I mean, it's all live action.
So-
great dancers, great artists. Some of the music's great, but
Yeah.
maybe it just wasn't what I was expecting from Beyonce.
Okay,
Because it certainly wasn't when I was if I were a boy.
So
Do you know what I mean? It's certainly. I like that song. Do you know,
I love a Lemonade album
do you?
when she talks about when Jay-Z cheated on her through her lyrics.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
But it certainly isn't that. It's not that at all.
So-
And it's about. There's a lot of black empowerment in it.
Black is King. I was going to say
Yeah.
the title.
And it has got a very, very thin story going through it.
Right.
And it does jump from the distant past into present day.
Okay.
But, and this is that big but, it's an album. It's a visual album from a music artist. So if you gave me the CD of that,
You wouldn't listen.
and or the download of it for me to play in my car, I don't think I'd be listening to it.
From what you're telling me, I want to watch it because it sounds so unique. But I feel like, would you have it on? I'm feeling like it's a kids' party background screen type of thing.
Only if you were doing a Lion King theme.
Right.
It's so themed. Now, I'm sure there is a message, and I'm sure that there is this thing, everything Beyonce does is amazing. I just think, and it might be just me, it might just be my age, I think it's one of those where it would I watch it again? I'd show it to people. I'd say, have you seen this? And it's the sort of thing you'd watch once. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say to you, yeah, watch it.
How many eyebrows?
3.
3. Right. It's not terrible, but not amazing.
Oh no, I couldn't say it's terrible. I've just told you it's like every frame is like a poster. The dancing is amazing.
I'm very intrigued to watch it because I've been watching the Glastonbury stuff over lockdown and watching Beyonce. For all the artists I've seen, she is effing phenomenal.
Yep.
Effing.
No, it was her set at Glastonbury was amazing.
Yeah, dancing though.
Yeah.
And a voice. She's just everything. So I don't know. I don't know if you're selling it, mate.
Well, I'm not. What I'm not doing is I'm not selling you the music.
I feel like you're trying to sell me a timeshare. I'm not sure if I'll go.
I think if it was people who are listening, do you know what? It's not if you like Beyonce. If you want to watch a piece of arty film,
Yeah.
watch it.
With a slight
Forget that it's Beyonce.
narrative about is it racism Or is it black culture?
No, it's more black culture.
Right.
And
Okay.
do you know what? I didn't watch it in any way and go, oh God, they're pushing that message down my throat.
Right.
And I wish they wouldn't have done that. Or I
Okay.
didn't. There was none of that. It's quite apolitical for something that's called Black is King.
Cool.
From a white privileged background.
I
male.
want to know if anyone's watched it other than you. Get in touch and tell
I
us.
would love some feedback
Yeah.
to see whether or not I'm talking absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in the next episode you would have watched it.
Maybe. Yeah. We can go to worse.
Well, maybe not the next one, but maybe the one after that.
What? Give me some time, you know. I'm writing a book.
Nobody knows why that's funny. When we record the next one
But
in
I'm
about
thinking
20
we
minutes.
should film ourselves in Worsley Woods and have Word on Our Street is King.
Yeah, we could do that.
Oh, cool.
And I could go.
I've got a didgeridoo. When I went travelling to Australia,
Really?
I got
How
drunk.
did you get it home?
I'm going to tell you.
It's long.
I got drunk. There's so
How
many
long?
innuendos
How
with
long
that.
is your
There's so
didgeridoo?
many innuendos with that. It's only short, but it does the job. So I, Neil, they sent it home, but I got really drunk on this thing, right? On this introduction to didgeridoos
Yeah.
as a backpacker. I was the only one that bought one. I put it on what they called lay-by then, so I paid it off because I had no money whatsoever. I don't know what I was doing. Forgot all about it. My brother wrote on Facebook, this is like 10 years ago, Jen, a didgeridoo's landed at my mum and dad's front door. Hope you will.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot all about it.
And it just ended up
When I
at
paid
home.
it, like my little diary debit every month, well, sleeping on beaches, drinking goon
Ow.
and everything.
How much does a didgeridoo cost?
Don't even remember, Carl.
Oh, you don't know?
I got drunk and bought a didgeridoo delivered home in England, and I was just like,
I'm trying to think if I've ever bought anything when I was drunk.
oh, other than drinks.
Obviously, yeah. Kebabs.
There's
I
been a-
bought
oh, God,
a lot of kebabs when I'm drunk.
Has anyone bought anything drunk that's funny? Please do tell us. Maybe if it's linked to the arts.
That'd be a good one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I like that. What have you ever bought
Or downloaded.
when you're drunk?
Is porn an art?
I don't know.
I've done a lot of porn downloads.
I don't know where you're going. I try and keep everything on track, and I try and keep you on the level, and
Keep
then
me
you
on a level.
and then you go right. Anyway, something that people should watch. If you like a little bit of a detective thing, I found a new one. I found a new one.
Just stay up all night watching telly.
No, but we've nowhere to go, is this? So we do watch a lot of telly,
Go on.
and it's got. Is it Martin Sheen in it? Who's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
It's an American thing, even though he's English, and it's called Prodigal Son.
Prodigal Son.
And I'd recommend. I know you haven't seen it.
No.
There's only 2 been on as we're recording this, but do you know what? 2 absolutely both funny. Some of it's funny, but the plots are good. You don't have to think about it too much. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Silence of the Lambs because
Oh, I like that.
because the dad is a serial killer and he's locked up, and his son goes in to see his dad to get advice on how to catch some killers because he's a profiler. And so I know. So there you go. That's the plot, the simple plot, but it's better than that,
Right.
Because he has like nightmares and he's a lot of flashbacks and it's all.
So is it?
It's
Hang
quite
on.
stylised.
Series or film?
No, it's a series.
How many?
We don't know. I've only watched 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
There's only 2 out of them. As we're talking now, there's only been 2 on. It's on every Tuesday. It's on one of the.
what?
It's on one of the Sky channels.
Right, cool.
So
Prodigal Son, I'll be getting on that.
I would recommend that more than Black is King.
That's fine. So would you give it 4 eyebrows?
I'm going to give it 4 eyebrows.
But not
'cause
5.
Well, not 5 because I've not seen it. I've only seen 2.
It's not Hamilton, is it? It's not changed your life.
It's not going to change my life in one little bit,
Mm.
but what it is going to do, it makes me laugh and it's good stories. I like it. I like the characters as well.
I better do some reviewing for the next show.
I think
I'll do one after that.
because I seem to be doing all the work.
I don't think so. Really.
I think so.
I'm a contact getting into areas media.
No, you
Blogger.
do. You're doing all right. But I'll tell you what you're doing.
You're doing all right.
You're doing
Really?
very well.
I've just kicked him, by the way. Sometimes Carl gets impossible by his ego, and we have to kick his ego out the room. We need another mic.
What did you say to me once? You're going for an ego massage.
A spa day for you.
A spa day for your
ego.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Well, I've been jumping out of planes as well.
Oh, I didn't mention that. You can see pictures of that on our social media.
Yeah.
What was that? I did want to ask you about that. What You've done it before though, haven't you? So it wasn't a new experience.
No, it was my third one. Did it? It was 15,000 foot high.
Yeah.
So that's the highest you can go.
Right. And how long are you in the air for?
So, from jumping out.
Yeah.
So you have a 60-second free fall.
Okay.
Then the parachute comes up.
Yeah.
And it's a couple of minutes, I'd say. 5 minutes.
Right.
I don't actually know. I'd have to look at the video, but
Does it seem like you're up there for ages, or does it go dead quick?
So this time, it normally goes really quick, but it did spins. This guy said to me, "You've done really well. Do you want to do some spins?" So I said yes. So I got the side of it, pulled it to the right, and then the left, and I was spinning all the way down, and we landed. But God, did I feel sick for half an hour after, and that's not happened before. But he had a bit of a crazy Spanish instructor. It was a bit flirty.
Well, I've seen the film of you doing it.
Yeah.
And he keeps pointing at you and doing thumbs up and.
Because we're being filmed.
Yeah.
So obviously, it was saying do thumbs up to the photographer who dived out before us. I was quite calm because it's my third one. I would like to train to do my AF, which is training to jump out yourself.
Right.
So yeah, I've been doing that.
AF. I was trying to think of a funny for AF, that it didn't come at all. That was when I went. Right. That was my disappointment of not coming up with something else AF could stand for.
Oh dear.
I'm so sorry. I let you down there with a funny.
Don't worry.
But well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I like the fact you just went and did it as opposed to trying to raise money.
Well, it was a birthday present. I have done it for money before.
Yeah, but a lot of people do that, and every now and then it's nice just to go and do something. And this was a birthday present, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So I think a congratulations to you. If we had little pretend clapping,
yeah,
we'd put that in now. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for that.
We're so professional. So no, it's been a good show. This good guest.
Good guest. We've talked about the King. Was it Black is King?
And
I would recommend that you watch Prodigal Son.
Prodigal Son, yeah.
And we've talked about social media.
Yeah. Keep reading the blog, keep sharing. Please keep sharing and subscribing. And we want to hear from you.
This subscribing thing seems to matter.
It does, yeah.
That's why I never realised where everyone always asks you to do that. But it makes sure that when we bring something out, you get to hear about it and you can hear what we're getting up to.
Yeah, we're on all major platforms because Carl's put us on some of them.
Everything. Oh, and we've got a YouTube channel now.
We have got a YouTube channel, and we have said before we're going to do a live, and we are.
No, we will. We just want to just up what we're doing a little bit, probably after 10. We've got a plan for after. We've got a special treat for everybody after our 10th episode as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we're going off air.
Yeah, that's why we have a rest. I'm going to put a bonus thing out, and it's going to be something special. I'm not going to say what it is. Yeah, but that's coming up as well. So please, everybody, get on the social medias, make sure you like us, tell your friends about what we're doing, and I'm going to play out with some original music, as always.
Yeah, we are.
This is about the Windrush, isn't it?
And Tony,
the Windrush women.
Amazing guest, wrote it.
He did, and then he told us all about it in the interview. Yeah. So this is Women of the Windrush.
You fled from rising poverty, embraced our great democracy through 5 decades of dignity. Woman of the Windrush, faced with plunging temperatures, paid taxes, rates and rents to us. You never begged 1 cent from us. Woman of the Windrush, the Commonwealth for all to share, the racist slurs you had to bear, from stop and search to stop and stir. Woman of the Windrush, but still you came, despite the rain and the pain of saying goodbye. But still you came, and still you stayed. Now they want to send you back again. Woman of the Windrush, secure within your lovely skin, you knuckled down and you fitted in, gave birth to British citizens. woman of the Windrush. Your honest pleas just hit deaf ears. The crocodiles ignored your tears. You hid behind locked doors in fear, woman of the Windrush. But still you came, despite the rain and the pain of saying goodbye. But still you came, and still you stayed. Now they want to send you back again, woman of the Windrush. These statistics are real people, deliver them from racist evil. Not one human is illegal, woman of the Windrush. As the bailiffs rapped on your front door, your nerves just snapped down to the core. Your soul escaped this hostile shore, woman of the Windrush, woman of the Windrush.